Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm It's Robbie Rhino, and in today's video we'll be taking a look at the HOTCHKISS EBR, which is the French Tier 7 wheeled light vehicle. And if you've seen my review of the Tier 6, you'll know that I found that vehicle quite enjoyable to play, and I think it was fairly well balanced. And the same applies for this Tier 7, and I'll explain why in this video. I'll go over the statistics of the tank, I'll give you my opinions on how it handles and how it performs, I'll show you my equipment and commander setup, and I have 3 replays for you today. The last 2 are immeasurably better than this one. However, this is a typical decent game that I've been having in this tank if you play to its strengths. And we're here on Vineyards, and at the start of the battle you'll see me take up a position, I think it's around D7, on the 7 line, where I'm spotting out for my team. It has poor view range, but I'm able to get forward, use the ridge line to duck down and avoid shots using this tank's great mobility, or this vehicle's great mobility I should say. And I'm just trying to take out the enemy wheeled vehicles and the enemy light tanks so that we have the vision advantage. So let's get stuck straight into the statistics of this tank. It has 750 hit points fully upgraded, and in typical wheeled vehicle fashion it has 310 meters view range, which is absolutely abysmal. It's only 10 meters more than the Tier 6 had, so you're going to want to do everything in your power to raise your view range. In terms of its mobility, as is for most of this line, or all of this line, it's absolutely fantastic news. It's got a 525 horsepower engine with a 35 power to weight ratio. As the Tier 6 did, it doesn't have a cruise or rapid mode, it just has one mode, which is easier for you to get to grips with these sort of wheeled vehicles and not have to worry about changing into a cruise or to a rapid mode. You go 70 kilometers an hour forwards and 45 kilometers an hour backwards, so it's not the same as the Tier 6 or the French Tier 8 wheeled vehicle premium. It doesn't go the same forwards or backwards, it just goes slightly slower backwards, so you're going to have to plan how you get into your positions, and if you want to reverse away you're going to be slower than if you sort of reversed up into a position then went away forwards. In terms of your traverse, it's really good news. It's 55 degrees a second on your hull and on your turret, so they are the same speed, which means that when you're circling opponents it's quite easy to miss your shots in the other wheeled vehicles where the degrees a second are different between the turret and the hull, but this has the same, so you miss a lot less shots, I found, when you're circling an enemy and sort of auto aiming and doing that kind of fun business. In terms of the gun, you get a 75mm 1000 meters a second EBR gun, which deals 170 alpha damage on its standard AP and its premium APCR, and 260 alpha damage on its HE rounds. Penetration wise, you've got 160 on the AP, 190 on the APCR and 75 on the HE, and those HE rounds are brilliant. I carry a lot of them, as you can see, and I found that they are absolutely fantastic for fighting other wheeled vehicles and other light tanks, and going in at the end of the game and getting behind heavy tanks and medium tanks and just going for the lightly armoured tanks, and you can deal a lot of damage with the HE and rack it up very, very quickly. So this gun has a 9.38 rounds a minute with a DPM of 1594 with its AP and APCR, and if you can get your HE to pen, you have a DPM of 2438, so you have a massive jump if you're able to penetrate your HE rounds. And as you can see, I'm using my HE rounds in the background here on this Barask, and this is a Tier 8 medium tank that we are absolutely wrecking. You can deal damage very, very quickly. It has a base reload of 6.4 seconds, a base aim time of 1.6 seconds, and your accuracy is 0.4, as I was just laughing there, as I nearly rolled myself, and that happens plenty of times in these vehicles. It has 10 degrees of gun depression, which is really nice, and it actually has 20 degrees of elevation, so it's a lot better than some other French light tanks and wheeled vehicles. You're actually able to get your gun up slightly, and you carry plenty rounds of ammunition at 80 rounds. In terms of your armour, the only thing to note is that the strongest part is your front of the turret, and the whole front of your hull is 40mm, but that isn't strong at all, so yeah, you will get penned by HE, and you can't rely on any part of this armour. You've got to use your mobility your camo rating to get around and out traverse your enemies, and just don't get hit, basically, is my advice. So in terms of my equipment, what do I run on this vehicle? I run advanced optics to get my view range as high as possible, advanced concealment because I want to try and improve my concealment. Now we're going to be playing against sort of tier 9s. I want to try and stay hidden as much as possible, and I use a gun stabilizer. You could argue that using vents would be a much better idea to try and improve your view range even more, but I wanted to get that camo rating so that I'm able to fire from foliage and stay hidden, especially when there are tanks that can 1 and 2 shot you at tiers 8 and 9. In terms of my commander, I run 6th Sense, Born Leader, Rapid Loading, Situational Awareness, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Camouflage Expertise and Muffled Shot, so some concealment perks there, a lot of gun handling perks, and by situational awareness to get my view range up, and 6th Sense and Born Leader as usual. So with my commander and equipment setup, I now have a 379 meters view range, which I found is just enough to outspot your opponents, with a concealment rating now of 256 meters. That ends that game there with a victory. We finish on Vineyards, the MVP slot with 1 kill. We get a kamikaze medal for slightly touching that Iron Rain with 3.1k damage, 444 assistance, and we still make a little bit of profit. So we'll head on into the next replay now, and I'll talk you through that one there, so see you in a second. So we're now into the second replay of the video, and we're here on Pilsen, and although this is not a favourable map for the EBR HOTCHKISS and any light tank or wheeled vehicle, it does give me a chance to show you the firepower and the ability of this vehicle to manoeuvre in tight spaces and use the different kind of rounds that you get and the great HE rounds that you can use to your advantage. So at the start of this battle, you'll see me heading towards the south. I'll ping where I'm going, and I'm expecting the enemy light tanks and wheeled vehicles to go down towards the south and come up to try and spot us. So I'm going to head on down there. Hopefully my teammates will follow me. We're going to preload the HE and try and get some early shots in. 75mm of penetration with the HE is more than enough to go through many light tanks that you will be sort of going one-on-one with, and I feel like this vehicle is fantastic one-on-one against light vehicles in particular. It's got the great mobility, the great penetration on the HE, meaning that you're able to rack up damage quickly, and once you've got rid of the vision on the enemy team, that allows you to be king of vision, and it basically gives your team a massive advantage, especially towards the sort of end of the battle or mid to end of the battle. So just a note on my gun in terms of what's changed with my commander and equipment setup. So with my commander and equipment setup, I now have a 5.52 second reload, a 1.53 second aim time, and a 0.36 accuracy. Obviously the reload time and the aim time are really nice, and the 0.36 accuracy isn't the best, but it feels absolutely workable, absolutely usable. It's sort of mid to long ranges, and I haven't had any major issues if you fully aim your shots. So in terms of this game, not too much came straight up to where I thought they would come in the sort of K9, K0 location, so we're just going to push on down to these buildings here and use them as cover and get shots at anything that gets spotted by our light tank that's going in there. Nothing gets spotted down to the right of me, but that poor Panzer 4H trying to get away, and we get a shot into the back of him to finish him off. And now we're going to go in with our light tank and our medium tank. I noticed that they're pushing in. It's only 2 artilleries, a non-turreted tank destroyer, and a tier 6 medium tank, and I feel like the 3 of us should be able to handle this situation. The Jagdpanther has got a fantastic traverse for a non-turreted tank destroyer, or it's not a bad traverse anyway, to put it that way, but it's no match for the EBR HOTCHKISS, and we're going to be able to out-traverse him any day of the week. It looks like the Jagdpanther has completely ignored us, and you'll find that a lot of tanks do that, especially non-turreted tanks, because you're so quick, you can traverse so quickly that they just don't bother trying to keep up with you, and it allows you to get in behind and use your DPM and get your damage racked up. And we went for the tracking shot there on that A43, kept him in place, and with the help of our medium tank we finished off that A43, and now it's this Tiger 1, 1500 hit points, lovely juicy hit points for us to take out. And you can see the AP rounds are perfectly adequate to go through the front of the Tiger 1. We're going to carry on getting shots through the front of him, we're going to try and bait him around the corner, and then we're going to push forward with our great manoeuvrability. And he wasn't able to keep up even though we were that close to him, and we keep all of our hit points intact. So far in this battle we have picked up 1600 direct damage and 275 assistance, and now we're going to push up here to the middle and come on round full circle back towards the north of this map. As you can see there, I'm sliding a little bit, and that's the one gripe I have with this wheeled vehicle in particular. This feels like the traction is a lot worse. I know the traverse is fantastic on these wheeled vehicles, but this one in particular just feels really slidey, even with the analog steering that was introduced, so you do have to be careful with that one. So we spot this KV2, and obviously that's a massive threat to a lightly armoured vehicle like us, so we're going to try and focus fire this KV2. I accidentally rammed that KV3 there, putting me on a one shot. We carry on shooting the KV2 to get him out of the game, and fortunately for us this KV3 missed us. We were going sort of backwards or forward slightly, and then we managed to take out that KV3, so that was bad driving by me, and we got a bit lucky there. But I guess sometimes you make your own luck, and we're playing aggressively and we're trying to help our teammates, and fortunately for us it's working out, as we're now on 2.9k direct damage and just shy of 1300 assistance. So now we're trying to go after this Super Hellcat. We've loaded the HE rounds because we should easily be able to go through this Super Hellcat, and as you can see there, we get one shot in, we're going to get our second shot in, we're free aiming on the move, we're not auto aiming because we're both moving in different directions and auto aim wouldn't work. We try and take the final shell as he's only on 100 hit points left, but unfortunately we miss. And now we're going to go forward and try and chase after this Super Hellcat, and normally it would be absolutely easy for us to keep up with the Super Hellcat, but I'm having these traction issues here, and I'm lightly tapping my joystick, but for some reason it's skidding. I don't know if it's to do with different terrain, but hey ho, we're going to try and follow this Super Hellcat and try and take out the Super Hellcat and get the last kill remaining on the enemy team. So we're just coming up behind the back of this tank destroyer now. I wasn't quite sure because I wasn't paying attention if he went into that building, but he did, so we're going to come around the front. He's probably pre-aimed for us, but we're going to lock on with auto aim really quickly as we're going fast. Unfortunately the shell flies true, we pick up 3.5k direct damage, just shy of 1300 assistance. We get a top gun with 6 kills, finish an MVP, we make a nice lot of silver there with an op, get the high caliber and a first class mastery badge, and 2k base experience points. So that shows what you can do in a tight engagement on a city map. And now we're going to go into the best game that I've had in this tank so far, and I'll talk you through what I'm thinking in that one, so see you there in just a second. So we're now into the third and final replay of the video, and we're back here on Vineyards, and I apologise for the lack of map rotation in today's video, but that's just how my map rotation has been in the game recently. I seem to be playing the same maps over and over again, and quite often I seem to be getting into the same map straight after my last game, which is a bit weird, but hopefully that changes soon, maybe in today's update as this video goes live. But you'll see me from the same spawn as in the first replay, come here to the 7 line. I'm trying to spot out the enemy light tanks, the enemy light vehicles, and the sort of tank destroyers and anything that might be hiding at the back there in that usual TD spot. I'm using this ridge line straight in front of me as cover, trying to stop anything that might want to try and snipe me from the back, and also to try and stop the sort of trajectory from the artillery should they wish to shoot at me, which I'm sure they might do. Unfortunately for this enemy EBR HOTCHKISS, he crashes into a rock and we take advantage of that, getting a couple of shells into him. And as you can see, I've loaded up the HE rounds from the get-go because I know I'm going to be firing, or I'm presuming I'm going to be firing at the enemy wheeled vehicles and enemy light tanks, so I'm going to be able to get my damage in nice and quickly using the HE rounds, and that's another benefit, like I talked about in the last couple of replays. You set tanks on fire and you damage modules with this HE, and I find that because of these HE rounds and because of the quite good DPM that you have anyway, or the you know, the short reload that you have, I find that this wheeled vehicle is fantastic for fighting other light tanks, other wheeled vehicles, and I feel like it performs or outperforms all of the others, and it really, yeah, it really is a sort of 1v1 monster, I think, in terms of the light tank battle. And once you've got rid of the enemy vision, you know, you've got free reign of the map and you're able to go forward and use your vision to help your team and gain an advantage on the opponent. So unfortunately that heavy tank came down to where we were. He got hit by artillery and that position wasn't sort of big enough for the both of us, so I've decided to use my mobility just to move on and try and go forward and spot what's hiding at the back. You'll see in the run and gun perk here in action where I'm hitting my shots on the move at this CS44. I thought that he was going to pay attention to me, but obviously not, and we're just going to be able to use our mobility to get behind him and just put round after round and hopefully take out this CS44. I think, as I discussed in the last replay, sometimes people just want to focus on what they can hit, you know, the slower targets in front of them. They're not worried about this pesky little wheeled vehicle running rings behind them, so it allows you to get in behind people and use that to your advantage. We're going to try and take out this AMX M445 with the help of our teammates. Went for the back of the turret because that was our best chance of penetrating, but unfortunately we bounced. We're going to go forward now. We managed to spot the enemy artillery, which is really nice. He gets hit, set on fire, but we just make sure he gets killed with our HE round and finish off the artillery. And as you can see, we're still firing the HE. We fired into the side of that bathtub, the S35CA, took off pretty much all of his health, and he gets finished off by our KV3, and in that time we've managed to pick up 2.5k direct damage and 400 assistance. Pushing up here now, was going to go up behind this NAS one to finish him off, but now we're going to go off for the base reset because there's only 18 seconds left, or there was. Managed to get reset by one of our friendly tanks, and now we're going to go in and just try and shoot as many targets in the cap as possible to try and reset. We're not going to try and focus on the same target over and over again, because, you know, if you didn't know, if you're trying to reset the cap circle, every different person that's capping has different capture points and they only get reset when they get damaged, so you're going to want to try and damage as many people in the cap circle as possible to reset as many of the capture points. With the help of our teammates, we managed to reset the cap. We get a kill there on the light tank, and now we're going to put a couple of shots into this Tiger 1 who is stock, and we're able to out-traverse him any day of the week. So that pushes us up now to 3.2k direct damage and 848 assistance. Not sure why I fired into that medium there. I think I was just a bit frustrated. They kept backing up into me and wasn't allowing me to sort of go anywhere. But no matter, we get round the side of this KV3, and now we're just going to be able to put round after round to this KV3. Just trying to go for the back there, trying to set the KV3 on fire. I thought that this KV3 was going to turn around and try and shoot me. I think he thinks about it, but probably I'm too quick. His traverse is too slow, and we're using our sort of mobility just to cause absolute mayhem. And this is what I mean about tanks ignoring you. It just seems to be... that's what tanks do with this tank. I don't know if it's just a thing with the EBR HOTCHKISS or whether it's a thing with the whole line. I guess we'll have to see on that one. And I think that this vehicle is probably one of, if not the best, tier 7 light tank or light vehicle for one-on-oneing enemies, especially enemy light tanks and enemy light vehicles, especially with those HE rounds and the short reload. You can absolutely dominate, and that's the reason for the thumbnail for this video. So that brings to an end that replay. We finished with a top gun, 4.5k direct damage. We have a mastery badge, a tanker, and a high caliber, 2.2k base experience points, you know, the 6 kills and the 909 assistance points. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoy. I highly recommend the wheeled vehicle line. It's a lot of fun, and I don't think they're as broken or hard to take out as people say. So with that video done, all I can do is wish you a happy update day. I hope you have a great week. Until next time, I'll see you on the battlefield, and bye for now.